Welcome to the Startup Sessions, the #1 web show and podcast for trusting your gut, breaking the rules, and starting something meaningful. Featuring in-depth interviews with acclaimed creative entrepreneurs that have succeeded at building their own remarkable businesses. I'm your host, Michael Knouse, and today I'm joined by Steve the Hurricane from New Jersey. Steve Weiss is the founder of Hurricane Marketing Enterprises, a company that he founded just 18 months ago and is now one of the leading marketing and sales companies in the home healthcare space. In this episode, Steve will share how he started his business from scratch and made a profit within 3 months. And just a hint, this wasn't an accident. And if you have a small business or you're considering starting one, there's some really great actionable steps about clearly defining your target market here. You're also going to hear why Steve is called the Hurricane and how he turned a miserable work experience into fuel for starting his business. It's all coming to you right now on episode 18 of the Startup Sessions. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Startup Sessions. I'm Michael Knouse, and today I've got a hurricane on the show. I've got Steve the Hurricane Weiss. He's my guest, and he's the founder and president of Hurricane Marketing Enterprises. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Thank you for having me, Michael. It's a pleasure.
All right. Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. So Steve and I got connected through a mutual friend, Katie Kelly, who is featured in episode 10. And Katie's a super smart, bright business person. I'm thankful to her for making this introduction because I've since learned a little bit about Steve through his website, and I'm interested in learning a lot more about you here today.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, and Katie's a wonderful individual. Anytime Katie puts me in touch with somebody, this is something I definitely want to follow up with because she only works with the best. So if she works with the best, I work with the best, you must be the best.
Come on now. No, it's a good win-win to share in powerful networks like this. Mm-hmm. So let me do a little bit of an introduction for you, Steve. Sure. Steve is as near as I can tell, you're a serial entrepreneur, someone that's completely dedicated to helping businesses grow and people succeed at their full potential. And you've worked with, I think I heard you say, hundreds of people, at least on the video that I watched on your website, and you've helped business owners grow, help them implement advanced sales and marketing strategies, and help them improve their revenue growth. And, who doesn't need that, right?
Exactly.
All right. So your company, Hurricane Marketing Enterprises, you provide a ton of stuff. I love that. You provide
the plug.
You provide coaching. You provide training videos. You've got a ton of amazing free content on your website, which I'll link up here in the show notes. You've got a marketing boot camp. I mean, too much for me to sit here and just go through all the items. You've got an amazing amount of content on your site. But your niche, you've got a niche of the home healthcare marketplace, right?
Yeah, the home health market is a very difficult market. We all know that the impending crisis, the whole reason why Obamacare exists and all the arguing in Washington, D.C. is out there, it's all because we have a problem coming up with the baby boomers, who are the largest generation in our country, retiring. And let's face it, when you retire, and forget retiring, when you get to 60-plus years old, stuff starts to happen. No matter how much we fight it, we're all going to die, right? Yeah. So as a result, there's going to be a huge taxation and burden on our healthcare system. Plus, the baby boomers are not our grandparents, and they're not the 80 and 90-year-olds of today, where they're used to, we'll go to an assisted living, we'll do this, we'll do that, or whatever. The baby boomers, they're a much more sophisticated bunch of people. Most of them have college degrees and professional careers, and they want to age in place at home. And so as a result, there's a myriad of services and options available for somebody to age in place safely at home. But as a result, because the competition is so fierce, people really don't, they know what they want to do, but they have no idea how to get the clients and continue to grow their business, and it's a constant struggle. And throw in all the Medicare changes and stuff, that makes it even more difficult for people. So that's where I come in with my niche.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, you're in a hot and trending niche. And that's something we're going to talk about today, is choosing a niche and identifying yourself with something that, an area you can serve well. All right, cool. So I'd like to accomplish a couple of things today, Steve. I'd like people to get to know you a little bit and your background. And secondly, I'd like people to walk away with some actionable steps around how you've succeeded in your own business, as well as the area we were just talking about, developing a niche market and a target audience and learning to identify and sell to and market to that specific niche. How does that sound?
Sounds great to me.
Okay, great. Well, then first, give us a little background on Steve the Hurricane. Give us a peek into your entrepreneurial journey and maybe why you're called the Hurricane too, because I love it, but I don't know why that's it's a catchy nickname. I want to hear the story behind it.
It is funny too when I meet a lot of people for the first time and they hear me say Steve the Hurricane, they're like, "What are you, a wrestler or something like that?" They think. So that's actually, the Hurricane is a nickname that my former employer, who became my business partner, gave me back in 2006. We basically sat down. We had went through a review raise, and he said, "I'm going to pay you what you're worth." So he gave me a nice compensation package, but then he basically gave me commission where I had a piece of the company. So for every new client, every new milestone that we hit, I was getting a quarter of the actual profit. So I was like, oh, so if that's the case, then I'm going to go out there and I'm going to flood the streets. And he goes, "I want you to be the Hurricane and just take over the market." And I was like, okay. And that's when the Hurricane was born. So that's where I got the nickname. But to answer your question, Michael, about my background and why I'm an entrepreneur, why I love entrepreneurs, why I love working with business owners. Yeah. This goes back to when I was a child. My mother and father both were entrepreneurs. They both are salespeople, so sales flows through my blood. As a matter of fact, my father owned a dairy, and he sold milk his entire life. So I am the milkman's son. All right. So
literally.
That's my little joke there, but it's the truth. So I grew up on milk. But as a result, I kind of had this natural gift of gab, and I also grew up not being that typical person saying, "I want to go and get a job, I want to have a career and everything else." I always grew up saying that I want to be two things. One was a father, because I always wanted to have children, and now I have three beautiful children. So we're done. But but the other thing is, I always wanted to do something different than being part of the quote-unquote rat race. I always would sit there with my mother. I remember I was 12 years old. There was one time particularly, and we went out for like a cup of coffee or something at a Dunkin' Donuts or whatever, and we just sat there in the car on Route 9 in New Jersey, and Route 9 is a very, very busy traffic area. So it's like 4:30 in the afternoon, and I'm drinking my coffee and having a donut with my mother, and I'm sitting there and I'm just watching tens of thousands of cars drive by and people sitting in traffic, and it's only 4:30. And I'm like, I look at my mom and I said, Mom, that's not for me. And she goes, "What do you mean?" And I said, "That right there, sitting in traffic, the rat race, that is not for me. I'm not going to be that person who gets up early, drives to work, goes makes somebody else rich, and then comes back home at the end of the day exhausted and does it again and basically work so that you can live on Saturday and Sunday. That is not going to be me. I'm going to find a way." And she said, "What do you want to do?" And I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew that I wasn't going to do that. Yeah. And you kind of fast forward a couple of years, and when I was in college, I had the typical college job, but I didn't like that. I was working at Hollywood Video, which is a video store kind of like Blockbuster Video, and I had said to myself, you know what, I don't really like this. I got this flyer in the mail talking about how I recently graduated, and there's this company that hires graduates, Vector Marketing, which is the Cutco knife job, and I went to the interview, and a lot of people saw that job as a scam. If you come in, you have to buy a sales kit, and then you have to go through training, and you only get paid for how much work you put in and everything else or whatever. But for me, that's the very foundation of the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
If you don't work, if you don't put effort in and you don't make sales, you don't have a business, you don't have revenue coming in, so you're not going to get paid. So I took it as an opportunity, which it really was, and I worked the opportunity. I followed
Yeah.
the program and the training like I was supposed to, and then I controlled my own destiny. I made as much money or as little money as I wanted to based on the effort that I put forth. And
Yeah.
that was like my first real professional thing besides my little landscaping business that I had. But I've
Yeah.
always had that, you know, do it yourself mentality. Why work for somebody else, make peanuts when I can control my own destiny and make it as big or as little as I want to based on my individual effort. That's who I am as a person.
Okay, I love that. I mean, from early on, like you said, you were clearly destined to be an entrepreneur and follow your own path and design your own path. And that's, to me, one of the beautiful things about being an entrepreneur. You get to choose. You get to design it, you get to create it, and you get to make it look exactly how you want. So I love that, and I can really identify with it. All right. So tell us a little bit about Hurricane Marketing Enterprises. How did you come up with the idea for your business, decide that this was something that you needed to pursue? And I'm also curious too, when did you start this business?
Hurricane Marketing Enterprises. Let's see. It was an idea back in 2009.
Okay.
I was working at Care Choice Home Care Company. I was the director of business development. I had grown that company about 4 or 5 times what it was when I first started in 2005. So in 4 years, we basically quintupled the company.
Yeah.
And I loved working there. Don't get me wrong. But again, I have this entrepreneurial spirit. So I was actually thinking about starting Hurricane Marketing then. And my boss, Brian, who gave me the nickname Hurricane, he actually came to me and said, why would you want to start a business when you can own a business? And I said, what do you mean? And that's when he made me his business partner, and
Okay.
I became part owner of Care Choice and everything else. So I kind of put a couple of years off. We ended up selling Care Choice in 2011, and anybody who's ever been through an acquisition knows that when you sell a company, you don't just sell the company and walk. They don't want to just lose everything that they purchased, so you have to stay with that company for a certain amount of time. So I had a 1-year contract with them. I stayed with the company for the year, and I actually started to enjoy working with that new company. There was some new competitiveness. I'm a very competitive person. Most entrepreneurs were competitive. That's what drives us.
Yeah.
So I'm a very competitive person. I like the competition. I was the top salesperson for 14 months straight in the company, so on and so forth. But it had got to a point where they were going through an acquisition. I would have to learn new bosses all over again. Plus, we also had 100% employment. Now, we're a service company, so we're providing services for people in the homes. When you have 100% service, that means 100% employment. That means you don't have any product to sell. You cannot take on more business. So in June of 2012, I ended up having to give away 6 clients that I had brought on that I worked hard to get in a week. Wow. And the worst thing you can do to a marketing person, and you know this, you sold technology, Michael, so the worst thing you can do to a marketing salesperson is have no product for them. So they go out, they produce the results that you want them to do, and then you can't deliver on it. It's like, so it's like, what am I supposed to do? And I'm an honest person. So I'm sitting on my couch the Monday following this week, and I should have been at work. It was like 11:30 in the morning, and I had this guilty look on my face that I'm stealing from the company. I should be at work right now, but if I go marketing, I'm going to give away the business, so what's the point in marketing? I can't take off, so I'm just going to sit here at home and not do anything. And my wife saw me, and she's like, you're miserable. And I was like, yes. And then she's like, start your business. You said you want to do it. I know you know how to do it. You have a little bit of income left over from the sale of Care Choice to get us going for a while. Now is the best time to do it before the kids get older, so on and so forth. And that was that day is when I actually incorporated Hurricane Marketing Enterprises, June 20th of 2012. And that's kind of how I started the company.
Okay, I love it. I love it. We all are faced, I think, any of us, at points in our career or our life where the window opens up or the door opens up and we get to choose whether we, push it open or kick it open or walk through it or whatever. And you did that, and here you are, a few months later, in the midst of.
I think it's like 18 months.
18 months.
19.
Okay, this is cool. I am so excited to have you on the show. It's getting even more exciting because
Hurricane.
so many of my audience and myself included, I'm just a few months into starting a business. And so this is like, talking with someone who's just a few months ahead of me that's having a lot of success. So this is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Can you pinpoint or narrow, this is a difficult question to answer maybe, but is there one thing that you can say has contributed the most to your success in such a short period of time?
If I could put it down to one thing as to why we have the success that we have, I'd have to say it's. Yeah, my staff is looking at them. It's my staff. My staff just looked at me. They're like, "Oh, I swear they're using."
It's us.
It's I really say I'll give the credit. It really is. It's the circle of friends. The people that I have in my life. When I went to start the business, I have that burning desire within me. I've always wanted to do this. I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. I knew what I wanted to do. In the beginning, when it was just me by myself, I put in hundreds of hours and everything else or whatever to get it started. But along the way, having people come, volunteer to help me, people offering to spread the word, people giving me their advice. One of my friends taught me how to do all the videos that are online. I'm not a technical person at all. My person who does the videos now is not a technical person at all by trade. But one of my friends showed me how to do that. Basically, because he started doing it for me, and he's like, well, feed a man a fish, he's fed for the night, teach a man a fish, he's fed for life. So he taught me how to do all that stuff, how to design a website and everything else. So really, it was the circle of friends and family who were in my corner, and it's not many. There are a lot of haters out there. Avoiding the haters was key, but finding those true diamond friends and family members who were just there to help you get through it. And when you have those tough times, you balance an idea, they're like, you can do it, keep it going, and then that fuels me to keep that spark that I have inside going forward to get to where I am today. So I'll say it's my sphere of influence. Katie Kelly.
It's fantastic. It's so true. None of us, I think, are, despite that entrepreneurial, spirit, pioneering spirit of going out there and, individually conquering the world. I mean, that's part of it. It's part of having that spirit. But the truth is that it doesn't happen without a lot of good people around you. And that's the truth. I found that to be the absolute truth for myself as well. Thank you very much for that.
You got it.
What's been the most effective thing that you've done or method that you've used to successfully market and grow your business thus far?
Social media, without a doubt.
Media. Okay.
There's a person by the name of Brendan Bouchard. Have you ever heard of Brendan Bouchard?
Yeah, he lives here in Portland, where I do.
Oh, look at that. So he's right down the road then. You're probably buddies. Tell him I said hi if you see him. Okay. So he really is the person who kind of gave me the blueprint for what I do.
Okay.
He's the founder of the Experts Academy, and he basically teaches people how to monetize their expertise and knowledge. Yeah. Now, I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always been in sales and marketing. Even before I got into healthcare, I sold milk with my father. I did the Cutco. When I had the landscaping business, I went out and made flyers and advertised and got clients, whatever. So I've always had that salesmanship and that knowledge since I was a child. So that is my expertise. And I knew there were people out there who needed this information that I had in here. Yeah. And so once I started watching some of Brendan's videos and some of his information, he basically taught me how I can monetize, make 4 different revenue streams from the information that I have in here, having different price points, so that this way, for somebody who doesn't have much money, they can do Team Hurricane. That's like $50 a month for my monthly webinars. You can come to one of my events. You can do our coaching. You can purchase our videos, whatever. There's something for everybody in every budget, so that this way, somebody can at least have a taste of the hurricane, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And the advertising, going back to the social media, I create videos, all right? Everybody knows about blogging online. Blogging online is something that I want to say is now a pastime, because like if you're not doing it, then you don't have a business, all right,
Yeah.
unless it's not online.
Yeah.
If you're on the online world, you have to be blogging and putting out information.
Yeah.
Now, I like to take blogging another step further and do what I call vlogging, which is video blogging, so that this way there are some people who like to read and there's some people that don't like to read. So
Sure.
what we do is we create, 8 videos in one film session.
Yeah.
We edit the videos, and then we write a blog to go with the videos. So if somebody wants to read it, they can read it. If they choose just to watch the videos, they can watch the videos. But now it's something for everyone. And
Yeah.
because of that, that helps with our SEO with Google.
Yep.
It helps on YouTube, because people can find us on our YouTube videos. A lot of people don't realize this, but YouTube actually has like the second largest search engine of all search engines out there. Google's number 1. YouTube is number 2, then I think like Yahoo is number 3 or something like that. So, and then it goes down from there. So again, by having these videos, people look on YouTube, how do I get referrals? How do I market home care? And then all of a sudden 50 videos from me come up, and they're like, whoa. And then they go, and then they start to look at the website and everything else, and they're like, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, instead of me trying to find customers, the customers find me and they come to me.
Yes. Yeah. And really, so my perception too, when I went and looked at your website for the first time, I was like, this guy's an expert. I looked at all those videos, I looked at all the content you have out there, and there was no question in my mind that you're an expert at what you do. So you've firmly established yourself, from my perspective, as an expert in your market, and it's obvious. It's just it's completely obvious.
Thank you.
So congratulations on that. And you've done that in a relatively short period of time. And that's that's impressive.
That's the part that it's funny because everything is relative, like you said, and I always feel that why is it not here? Why is it not up here yet? And I'm like, I'm putting so much time into it. But like, well, it's only been 18 months. So
yeah.
We are doing very well considering.
Yeah, that's so cool. All right. How long did it take you from the time that you started your business until the time that you started turning a profit?
When did I start turning a profit? I'd say we started earning profit 3 months into it.
Okay.
And the reason why is because there wasn't any overhead. I did everything out of my house.
Okay.
I already owned the computer. I think I bought an iPad to make the videos on, so that was like $400. I started a business with $10,000. That's how much I started with. I incorporated it, did all the legal stuff, got the liability insurance, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
With $10,000, started putting some stuff on. I made a website, yada, yada, so on and so forth. And then 2 months into it, I ended up getting a really large contract with a company down in Florida, and they wanted me to basically move down there for 3.5 months, 12 weeks and some change, and help turn around that company. So because of the amount of volume that company had to pay me, that's why I started making money right away. So they paid me a lot more than what I was getting paid because they wanted me to relocate. I had to bring my family down and everything else. But that was my first contract. But the cool thing about that is that gave me a stepping stone and another point to prove that this can work anywhere. Because I had developed this market here in New Jersey, but I had never been outside of New Jersey, so what's the market like somewhere else? So I walked off the plane in Orlando, Florida, and put to use everything that I teach people and made it a success there. And that's when it's like, it's not New Jersey, it's the program.
Yeah.
So.
Very cool. I love it. I love that. And you know what it shows too is I think so many people think that it's either working for a company or it's, starting the next whatever, Silicon Valley startup and getting VC funding and all that stuff. And that's just not the case with technology today and with how innovative we can become, just leveraging things like social media and technology and all the expertise, whether it's, Brendan Burchard or anybody else. There's so much just like right at our disposal and our fingertips that allow us to take any idea that we're passionate about, that we've got skills around, that we're good at, and we have a desire to push forward and really succeed at that. There's like no excuse from my perspective, like zero excuse not to go out and create something that you really want to create today.
I told my wife the other day, I think I told my team when we were in Dallas last week, and I had said that this is the perfect time to be living in, because 10 years ago, you couldn't do it. Right now, we're doing a webinar, between you and me. This is going to be airing later on. This is a recording. This technology didn't exist 10 years ago. So we wouldn't be able to be doing what we're doing right now if it wasn't for where we are today. So this is the perfect time. And one of the things I tell people all the time, too, is you don't have to be a multimillionaire to be a successful business owner. There are people right now across the country. I think the average household income across the nation is like $47,000. All right. Now, obviously, there are certain markets and everything else that are higher and lower or whatever. But the average household income across the nation is $47,000 a year. So if you own a business and it's yours and you run it from home and you have more time with your family and more time with your friends and more time with your children and everything else or whatever, and you can work around your schedule and make the same $47,000 that you would working elsewhere, wouldn't you do that too? And with the technology that we have today, you can essentially you can turn your garage into a storefront because of the internet. I think we had somebody I was talking to last week who has a tea factory, and he basically gets people to grow tea, and he customizes loose tea and tea bags and everything else because he loves tea. That became his passion because of a dream that he had. And he took that, and now out of his garage, which is where he keeps everything, and now it's expanded. Now he has a warehouse. But when he started it many moons ago, it was in his garage, online. Like, you can do anything.
You can do anything. You can do anything. It blows my mind what people start and the success that they can have, and how it can explode despite all of our inconsistencies and so forth. Once you get out there, things begin to take on a life of their own, and it's so exciting when that happens. I can see that that's happened with you. It's happened with so many people that I've interviewed. I love being in this realm of entrepreneurs and people making things happen and creators. It's a big part of what makes my job exciting, for sure.
Yeah, and you're going to make mistakes along the way. That's expected. When you make mistakes, you learn from them. Just don't repeat them, but you learn from them and you move forward. I mean, I don't know half of what I'm doing. That's why my staff are pointing. We're the reason why you're successful. I'm the pretty face, and they do everything. So I don't know what I'm doing. I come in, it's like, what are we doing today? Oh, okay, that sounds good, So, but it's fun though, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. All right. So, what advice would you give to someone that's maybe on the fence about starting a meaningful business? And maybe has some fear about doing it, because honestly, a lot of my clients do have corporate jobs, and maybe they've just started something on the side, or they're thinking about starting a business on the side. What would you say to that person that's they're there but they're on the fence?
Start it. Just do it. There's a saying that I forget. I think her name is Karen Lamb. I don't know who she is, but Karen Lamb said, "A year from today, you will have wished you started." Yeah. Whatever it is, a year from today, you will wish you started. And it's the truth. If you look back to every, I started writing a book and a bunch of other things, whatever, recently, because I know if I don't start it today, I know time is going to go by, and I'm going to be like, you know what, I wish I had done it. I woulda, coulda, shoulda, and you can't go back. So, just go ahead and start it. If you do it part-time, it's fine. I'm a big believer in diving full force into it. I do talk to other entrepreneurs just like you do, and when I talk to entrepreneurs, I find that the ones who go 100% into it right away, meaning they do it like they drop their job and they go right into it. If you have the ability to do that, a spouse that works, a savings or whatever, usually it takes 6 months to a year to start paying themselves. Whereas I find the ones who do it part-time, it takes longer, a year and a half, 2 years before you can start paying yourself, whatever. But then you can leave. So either way is fine, but just go ahead and start it. Because if you keep procrastinating, nothing's happening.
Yeah. Great. All right. Let's switch gears a little bit and go into this area of, I think it's an area where new entrepreneurs struggle, and that's focusing down and narrowing in on a specific niche or target market or whatever you want to call it, and defining, who is that ideal customer for me and how can I serve them. And you seem to have accomplished that. And that's why when I saw your website, I was trying to think about what could we talk about and give people some actionable steps on. And that's kind of what popped up because it was just so like front and center on your website. So like to narrow down the question, let's start with this. Did narrowing your target, did that come naturally to you, or how did that come about for you?
For me, it came natural. The main reason why I knew it came natural is because when I was working in the home care business, I knew just how difficult it was, and I saw my competitors at all the networking events and everything else, and my competitors, when I ended up leaving, thanked me for all the business I gave them because, I had so much business coming in, I gave it to them.
Yeah.
And they were telling me that I was like their biggest referral source. And I'm like, wow, and then I started to realize that these people out there, they really don't have a lot of business. They don't really know what they're doing. Most of these owners in my industry tend to be entrepreneurs, tend to be clinicians, so they're nurses, they're doctors or whatever, or accountants or financial people, but they are not the sales and marketing background, and there's a heavy amount of sales and marketing needed to generate business. So I was like, this is a specific niche for me.
Yeah.
Now, to what you were saying with your question before, you have to find your niche.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that separates you from your competitors. Part of the reason why I decided to do this is when I looked into my competition for what I currently do, there was like 12 people nationwide that do what I do, and there's like 300,000 home care companies out there. So I'm like, even if we split it 12 ways, that's more business than all of us can handle. You know what I mean? So there's room for a 13th person, So, you take a look at what you're offering and what your uniquenesses are, and then go after it. Put out the content, like I said before, put out information, whether it's blogging, videos, whatever, sales, whatever, that tap into the demand. There's already a demand for what you do. There's a demand for everything.
Yeah.
There's a demand for everything under the sun. You think it, honey, right? There's a demand for honey, right? So if you want to start a honey company, you just have to tap into that demand. But that's your niche. Don't start trying to do agave. Don't start doing syrup and everything else, whatever. Stay with your niche. Master this first. This is actually something that one of my friends who owns a business told me. Master what you're setting out to do.
Yeah.
And once you master that, then start to take on other programs.
Yeah. Yeah. Great advice. Cool. All right. So let's lay out some actionable steps for people to walk away with when it comes to defining a target market. Maybe what are the top 3 things that you would suggest for people that don't have a target market yet and need to find some focus? What are 3 of the top things that you might suggest that people move forward with and do?
This would go back to like the golden rule of just like business and anything is location, location, location. So you have to decide if your business is going to be a local business, a regional business, a national business, an international business, and so on and so forth. That's like one of the first, where am I going to get my clientele from? Now, the more specific your niche is, the larger you're going to have to go to get clients. So, for what I do, for example, with the healthcare, home care marketing, if I wanted to stay just in my local town, there's only like maybe, 40 companies I could possibly work with, and they're all not going to go. Maybe one might, So I have to be a national provider in order to have plenty of business coming in. But, if I open up a bagel store, for example, then I want to make sure that I can have a place where I can tap into. There's not another bagel store nearby, whatever, so on and so forth. So that's the first thing, Do I want a local business, a regional business, or a national business, or whatever? The second thing that I'd suggest is really, when it comes to finding your target audience, do some free research online on the social medias. Find out. So if I'll stay with the honey, right? So if I'm going to sell honey, then I'm going to get involved in every LinkedIn discussion, every Twitter discussion, every Facebook and Pinterest, and everything I can that hashtags honey, and hashtag is basically like, if you click on the hashtag, it tells you to research. Look, people tag honey. So if people, honey with tea, honey recipes, whatever. Start finding out where the people that you're trying to sell something to hang out online. And the reason why I say start there is because it's free and it's something that you can do after hours.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when they start businesses, if you are working, you're working 9 to 5, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have time to do this. You can do this overnight. You can't sleep when you're a business owner, and I'm sure, Michael, you know this. When you're a business owner, especially in the beginning, you're constantly thinking. So it's like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I can't sleep. Let me get up, go online, and start researching my honey, right?
Yeah.
So, that's the second part of it. And then the third thing I'd say for your audience is start to share and start to talk about things that pertain to you and your business. Now, you do not, and I repeat this, do not start promoting and trying to get people to buy stuff from you. That's the fastest way to turn people off. You tell your friends and family, hey, I just started a business, whatever. You want to buy something? It's like, oh my God, leave me alone. Like if you think of like those multi-level marketing companies, right? Everybody who does Avon and everybody who does, whatever it is that's out there, they always start telling their friends and family, and people are like, leave me alone, I'm not buying anything, this is a scam, whatever. But if you start talking about the relevance of it, so if I start talking about honey, and it's like, right now it's 40 degrees outside, which is warm for the Northeast, but this is cold season. With the weather changing, we've been stuck in the house so long. If you start adding honey to your tea or honey to your coffee, it can help to soothe your throat. And you throw that out there for your social media. You throw that out there for people to see it. People are like, oh, this person knows a lot about honey. And then all of a sudden they come to you, and then all of a sudden now when they come to you, they see, oh, he sells honey. Oh, no wonder he knows so much about it. I'm going to buy some. Yeah. Versus trying to pressure people into buying from you.
Absolutely.
So find out where your market is.
Yep.
Get on social media and start, finding out where your target audience hangs out, and then start promoting good content related to what you do, but not self-promoting.
Okay. Perfect. I love that. All right. Good actionable steps for anyone to take away, especially people that are either looking to find and develop that target around their current business, narrow things down so you're more effective, or if you're just in that spot where you're thinking about starting a business. I mean, these are 3 just rock solid steps that you can take right now, like literally like this weekend, to set aside time to do these 3 things. And by the end of the weekend, have a great, have a good solid concept and a business idea to maybe explore and experiment with and move forward with. And just
you could. And it's funny because I was talking to somebody else the other day about this. You don't realize just how much time we waste doing stuff. Now, time with my wife and my kids, that's not wasting, but watching television, listening to music or whatever, that, although it's de-stress time, limit that. If you actually take a look at how much time people spend in front of the television, it's probably north of 20 hours a week. You figure 2 hours a day, So that's a lot of time that people spend in front of the television. So if you took half of that, you could make time to research and get your business going.
Yeah, I agree. So, wholeheartedly agree with that. And it's amazing too when you start to shift your energy towards something that you're interested in and something that you're going to make money at and something that you're going to serve people and be creative with. You don't miss that TV time. Trust me. It's like your energy starts flowing in a specific direction, and that's all you want to do. You don't want to sleep. You don't want to eat. You have a hard time focusing at work because you're excited about this idea. And especially when people start responding positively to it, I mean, it just takes on a life of its own from there. That's my experience.
It does, and it's funny. I mean, if I do I have a moment still? Or?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah. Last week I did a public event, and the cool thing about this kind of advertising, when you start to do it, people start to see you. You put that content out there, you put that information out there, people see you for who you are and what you do, and then all of a sudden, there's conferences, there's conventions, there's associations or whatever that all have to do with whatever business is. There's always a reason to get together, right?
Yeah.
And so last year, I spoke some 20 some odd times across the country and got paid. to actually
Wow.
come out and speak and hear, these training sessions or whatever I had to say about, to share my knowledge with other folks. And
Yeah.
this last week I did my own public event. It was my 4th public event that I did. People paid $350 a ticket to come to the event, and we filled the room up. And at the end, standing ovation. Whenever people are taking pictures with me, when people come in, they shake my hand. Hi, Steve. How are you? I've been watching your videos for months, and what a awesome and weird, but like a good weird feeling it is. And people come to you and connect. It's like, hi, nice to meet you. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Like I feel like I've known you because I've been watching your stuff for a while now. But that's like the craziest part of it. And all it does is just fuel me to put out more information. And when you start to meet your customers and you start to see people who use your stuff and follow you on social media and everything else, it's like it's that it's working. It's like, do people really watch this stuff? Yes, they do. And yes, they will pay to work with you or use your services or your product or whatever because they have a need for it.
I love that.
It's the awesomest feeling in the world.
It is. It really is. And what I find too that's just that's so inspirational to me is at the heart of every entrepreneur that I've spoken with on this show. Like really the core of what they're about is wanting to serve and make life better for other people. What could be more just pure than that? And I think that's the nature that drives all of us, just wanting to give back and make a difference all at the same time.
Yep. You have to give in order to receive, and I couldn't agree more. Friday afternoon, my wife loves when she sees it. I'm so excited because I'm getting all of the coaching clients' weekly updates, and so-and-so sold a new case, so-and-so added this or whatever, and and I love getting a testimony after 6 months, and someone's like, my business grew by 25%. Thank you so much for working with me. Like, that is the coolest feeling in the world, and it's like, I didn't do anything. I just gave you a little bit of guidance. You did the work. And they're giving me the credit. I'm like, you're awesome. You had the innate ability. I just had to, tweak a couple things to help you to see the light. And that's how we work. So it's awesome.
Yeah,
Best feeling in the world is helping someone else.
It sure is. All right. So I love for people to get to know something a little bit unique about all my guests. So what is your favorite hobby, or what's the most, let's say, adventurous thing you've done in the last 6 months?
I haven't done much adventurous things in the last 6 months. We had a baby.
That's
adventurous.
That's pretty adventurous. For most of us, that's pretty adventurous.
Something unique about the hurricane or whatever. I am I love snowboarding. I'm very passionate about it. This season I did not get to go out, even though we have all this snow or whatever. I'm going to go to Vermont next month. But I absolutely love snowboarding. I think it's one of the greatest freedoms in the world. Yeah. And that is kind of adventurous when you're doing those jumps and stuff. I've actually, if you see right here, there's a mark on my wrist. I broke my wrist, and I have like 13 screws and everything else or whatever. And I was like, as soon as I got it fixed and it healed, it's like, okay, let's go back to the mountains.
It's time to go back.
Love it. Very, very passionate about it. It's fun. It's freedom. That's what I like to do with my downtime and relax time.
Love that. Cool. Well, if you're ever out west, there's some good snowboarding. I'm a huge skier, but I've got good friends that are boarders. So, if you're ever out here, we'll head up to the mountain. Whistler's close.
Okay. Whistler,
good stuff.
I'll hit it up.
Yeah. All right. What's next for you? Tell us what's new and exciting for you and for Hurricane Marketing Enterprises here coming up in the next few months.
The next thing that we're working on in the next couple of months is going to be two-part. The next professional development event that we have is actually we're targeting July 10th and 11th as of right now. It's going to be in New York City. We don't have a location yet. I actually haven't even announced it yet. But I'm just so excited about it because the one in Dallas was such a huge success. Now it's like, let's go to the Big Apple, Northeast. We don't have to fly to this one. We can actually drive there because we're close to New York. It's going to be awesome. So that's the next thing, the next event that we have. And then the next thing that we're offering is actually going to be a mastermind coaching group session. We have a bunch of clients who've been with us for a while, and we're trying to give them something that's like, now they know our system, they know everything about us. Now let's offer them a next level program. And this will be actually more affordable to the client because it's going to cost less. It's only going to be a once-a-month thing, but it'll be limited invitation only for the top elitist people. But for us, we're going to have people from all across the country sharing best-in-practices information so that everybody can get something out of it, participate, and then help grow their organizations to the next level. So that mastermind focus group is something that I'm really excited about, and I look that to come probably in April.
Fantastic. I love it. All right. Exciting things happening for you.
Thank you.
How can people, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? I'll link this up in my show notes, but just so that listeners on the podcast can also hear about, if they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that, Steve?
There's two ways to do it. One would be to give us a call, and we have a real easy phone number. It's 1-877-THE-EXPERT.
The Expert.
1-877-THE-EXPERT. Don't worry about the last two letters. It's just the first, 7 or whatever. But 1-877-THE-EXPERT. Give us a call. There's always somebody available to answer any questions that somebody may have, to speak to a live person. Or you can send us an email at info@stevethehurricane.com.
info@stevethehurricane.com. Perfect.
And then you can follow us on all of our social medias. I'd say Twitter would probably be the best one if you want to interact with us. That's at Steve Hurricane W.
At Steve Hurricane W. And I'll link up all of your social media on the show notes as well, and your website, and all this information for people. If you want to go link up to it, just go to the show notes on thestartupsessions.com.
You got it.
Great. Steve, this has been phenomenal. Thank you so much. There's been so many great takeaways, actions, inspiration. You've covered it all, my friend.
Thank you. It's what I love to do, and it's so funny. The time always goes by fast. And I want to tell everybody right now, remember, this is how I end my shows, all right? Don't just beat your competition, but blow them away. All right? Can you see that?
Blow away the competition.
So
sweet.
That's what we teach people how to do at Hurricane Marketing.
Oh, fantastic.
Enterprises.
What a great way to wrap things up. Steve the Hurricane, it's been a lot of fun, and gosh, we might have to do this again sometime. It's been so much fun. I love it.
We'll catch up in a year. We'll see where we're at then.
Okay, super. All right, great. Thanks, everyone, for listening in and viewing this episode of the Startup Sessions. Come back next week for a brand new episode. All right, take care. Bye-bye. Hey, if you enjoyed this interview, be sure to go to thestartupsessions.com and sign up to have the latest interviews delivered to your inbox weekly. All of these interviews are also offered on video at thestartupsessions.com, or get the audio version via the Startup Sessions podcast. Just hop on over to iTunes and subscribe to the podcast there. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I know that your time is valuable, so I do my very best to provide the most inspirational and actionable content for creating a meaningful business. I'll see you on the next episode of the Startup Sessions.